welcome to the first edition here of Coach's Corner here for the women's basketball program. We're here with Coach Liz Lewis. And Coach, I mean, it's not the start that you guys wanted, but it's a start that you guys are kind of enduring, getting through. You guys have a big women's basketball tournament coming up this weekend here at the Pronghorn Center. Tell me a little bit about what you kind of think your season's been going so far.
Well, like you said, it's not necessarily the most ideal start, but at the same time, I think there's highs and lows to every season, and every year now with how much kids transfer, you start over every year, and sometimes it takes a while to get, everything clicking the way that you want. But I mean, we're 3-2 right now, which isn't terribly awful, and I like that we've played great competition, and I think that's something that when I make the schedule and everything like that, I really do like to put tough teams in there, because I think it makes us more prepared come down the line come tournament time.
We talk about each and every time about like grit, determination, trying to make sure that this team is, kind of set, ready to go. I've kind of talked with you a little bit off and on throughout, the beginning of preseason. How do you guys think your preseason or off season ended up going for you guys?
Well, our off season, I thought the girls did a great job. I thought they did a great job working hard, getting in the weight room, the conditioning stuff. I really do have a good group that understands commitment, and they do work really hard. And these first couple of games, there's a lot of learning curves and things like that. And we played a couple of games without a couple of our key players, and so learning how to bounce back, because that's part of it. Sometimes you have your full squad, sometimes kids are injured, sometimes kids sit out. Like it's part of learning how to navigate and those type of things. And I think our group has done a really good job understanding that it's that things happen. And I tell them every day in practice that the athletes and the teams that learn to adjust the fastest are going to be the most successful.
We've seen a couple sophomores now out there. You have Danae Asiata, and then you also have Rochelle Alfamonuma. How do you think those two players have really kind of showed up this season so far, leadership-wise?
Those two have been really fun to coach, that's for sure. They have great personalities. And they're both very talented. And I really do think that Danae stepped up. A lot of areas that Danae stepped up that's not necessarily seen in the box score is defensively. Like she's done a great job locking down players, and she understands angles and how to get there to cut people off, and she obviously has the speed to go with it. So I think Danae's done a great job stepping up defensively for us, and offensively too. She's quick off the dribble. She's got a quick first step, and does a great job seeing her teammates, and so she's been a lot of fun to coach. Danae has, and she's done an excellent job. And then Rochelle, she's a returning All-American. She's understands the game really well. She plays at her pace, and I think she does an excellent job of not getting sped up too fast. But she's, when she decides, she's really good.
You also have another player on the team that got in a horse riding accident, ended up not being able to get to play again this year after tearing her other ACL with Kinley Englehart. But what has she been meaning to the program so far? I mean, out last year due to a basketball injury, and thought we were going to get her back this year, and then summertime happens and things just go down crazy with that. But what has she been meaning for the program? Has she been high-spirited? What's been kind of her role?
It was tough getting that phone call this summer. It was tough getting that phone call that she wasn't going to be able to play this year. Tore her ACL, against Northwest at the end of the year last year, going into tournament, and she was an all-conference defensive player. So, and Kinley she's really a great kid, and she has that attitude on defense that you just wish every kid had. Like, she just does a great job frustrating the offense and messing it up she takes chances, and sometimes gets burnt on them, but she takes chances, and she gets a lot of deflections and a lot of things that, again, aren't showing up on the stat side of things, but she did a lot of stuff, a lot of things great defensively, disrupting the other team's offensive flow, and we really missed that out on the court this year. And so it was tough to lose her going into tournament last year. And more than just the player, but just even the person. Like, Kinley just is a lot of fun, and right now she's with us, she travels with us, she's in practice with us, and she's not afraid to call people out when they're not working. And I think that's a great thing that she does, is she says, hey, because she doesn't get to be out there. Yeah. And she proved the type of player she was as a freshman, being an all-conference defensive player. And so she proved that she has that credibility to be able to hold others accountable. And so I love having her on the sidelines. She has great one-liners that just make me laugh all the time. Like, she just is a lot of fun to be around. She really is. And I wish she could be out on the court, but I am still grateful that she's still a part of the team.
Has she kind of turned into maybe another assistant to the assistant coach? coach, basically.
She kind of has, and like I said, she's not afraid to hold people accountable, and that's what I love about her. And she's kind of turned into that assistant to the assistant to the assistant, because now she gets to see it from from a different point of view, kind of like how Caitlin Clark spent her season. Is that you're sitting out and you get to see the game from a different view, and since they have the credibility of the type of player they were previous to the injury, they're able to hold others accountable.
And that's always nice to see. It's like when you're out there busting your butt left and right, and then all of a sudden, things happen where you come up with an injury, but it's really nice, like when a coach is like, okay, yeah, you've got all the credibility to really kind of help this defense kind of get back up and going. Do you think she's going to be part of like a really big key to maybe some of y'all's success this year? I mean, especially trying to help out the team in those ways?
I think she will be. I think she'll be a big part of our success because she's in the locker room with the girls and everything, and she does, like I said, she does an excellent job of. She has no tolerance for complaining. She has no tolerance for whining. She has no tolerance for excuse making, and that's what I really like about her, is that she's a Wyoming kid, hard-nosed kid, like riding horses and growing up just doing the tough work, and she's not afraid to work hard. And so I think she'll be a huge part of our success because she just helps the freshmen too understand that that college basketball is hard.
Yes,
it's hard. I think a lot of kids see it online and think hey, I can do that, but then they don't understand all the work that goes behind the scenes. And Kinley's not afraid to sit down and have conversations and tell people like, hey, like if you don't want to work hard, then yeah, but if you want to work hard, it's worth it. And she has great conversations with them, and I think she's a really good role model.
For some of the freshmen that came in, obviously I've seen that some of them came from overseas, come back in. What was the recruiting like, especially, because, the borders were closed for a little bit. Yeah. Recruiting was kind of a little bit of a different story than what it was last couple of years. So how did that recruiting process go?
Recruiting's tough because it's different every year. And with the transfer portal and how much everyone just is chasing money right now and everything like that, it just makes it so difficult. And I'd say it's definitely challenging and more challenging every year because it changes so much. Like you said, you look for the international recruiting, well, the borders, we don't know if we're going to be able to get them here on time. And so it's so different every year. And I think, same thing I tell the team is that, the players that can adjust the quickest are the ones that are going to be most successful. And I think it's the same in the coaching world.
And it's always kind of crazy because you have all your recruitings, you have the people that you want to go get each and every time, and then all of a sudden because of NIL, it's like, oh, hey, I'm going to go play here because I'm going to make money here. Do you think that's going to play a really big factor, especially in the JUCO world, that it's been like, well, we're going to get the talent we can because we don't have the money to pay these players to come play with us? It's
definitely changing, that's for sure. And I think it is coming. It's coming to the JUCO world too. And so we're doing our best on the backside preparing for that because it's coming, and it does just change things completely. And it's different even from when I played. Like it's just different in getting recruited and the different types of things that people chase. And so it makes it difficult. It really does. But it's challenging, and I know that like I said, as coaches, it's whether you like it or not, you have to be open to it, and you have to make the adjustments in order to continue to bring in the right kids. And I'm a big I love fit. If kids fit and they fit your culture and they fit your style, I think they're going to be a lot more successful. And if they're tough enough to handle the challenges that come along with college basketball.
What are some of the questions that some of the recruits may ask you? You do your full interviews of why they want to come here, that type of stuff. But what are some of those key questions that you've gotten over the years that are like, hey, that was actually a really good question? What have been some of those?
A lot of good questions that recruits ask my favorite one is they ask for, what is your coaching philosophy? And, my coaching philosophy is very simple. Each player is going to leave my program not only a better athlete, but also a better person. We try to develop them take a holistic approach and develop them as humans along with basketball players. And so I think our community does a great job in helping and assist in that, and so does our school and administration. But that's always a great question that the kids ask. It's usually mostly parents ask that question.
Hey, you know what? But it's a question that gets asked.
It's a question that gets asked, exactly. And so, but it's a lot of good questions. You can always tell which ones come filtered from parents and which ones come filtered from players. But they do ask a lot of great questions as far as culture, community. A lot of times on the women's side, for sure, they want that family feel of being welcomed and still being able to be themselves and contribute. And we always tell them, we recruited you because of what you do as a player and the type of person you are too, and that you fit into what we want here at Gillette College. But we, sometimes out here when we're starting to, develop them as players and starting to expand their game a little bit. We want, we still want you to do what you do, but let's start adding these other things to your game so that you can continue to be better.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of getting better, you guys have 2 matches coming up this week. You have Colorado Northwestern. That's going to be on Friday night, 11 a.m. Kids Day.
Yes.
Are you excited about the Kids Day?
Elementary school day, it's on the backside, the logistics of it is a lot. It's a lot, and it's stressful on the backside, but at the same time, I know a lot of players that I've talked to. So my former assistant coach, Sydney Hansen, she's still helping out from time to time. She's got a baby now, and so she's still helping out from time to time. But you ask her what was her favorite game that she ever played. Elementary school day. You ask my current assistant, Coach Jay, what's your favorite elementary school day? Like, even if you ask like I swear everyone I've ever asked, what is your favorite college experience as far as games? And they would say elementary school day. And so
That's
they
awesome.
really enjoy it. It's going to be a lot of fun in here. 800 kids, and it's going to be loud.
It's a lot of kids.
And kids are a different type of loud compared to
yes, they are.
fans. So I've already warned my team and said, hey guys, we're going to have to really communicate because it's going to be loud in here. Don't allow yourself to get frazzled. The officials sometimes get frazzled because the volume is just so high, and so it's just going to be a different type of game. But it's important for us to learn to play in all environments because you never know when you go on the road. Student sections and things like that. You never know exactly what you're facing. So it's important to understand that. That and I tell my girls every time, we're the most important people in the gym. This is all that matters is us. Outside things need to not influence us, whether it's a packed gym or an empty gym. Should not influence the way that we play. So it's a good experience.
What has been like the most difficult atmosphere, maybe from the student section, maybe from the fans that you've had to take this team on, or maybe it was a time when you were playing or coaching anywhere else?
That's a good question. Because there's been a lot of different environments where the student section and can be, but also I think empty gyms are almost worse. I think empty gyms are tough to play in because you have to bring your own, excitement, and it's got to be intrinsic and things like that. But sometimes they can get a little rowdy, and teaching your team to, when you're in the zone, you don't notice the outside atmosphere. When you're in the zone and focused on what you're doing and focused on your teammates, only hearing your coach's voices and your teammates' voices, and I think it's a skill, and in order to develop that skill, it's got to be practiced. And so it can be different for everyone. Some people may struggle in an empty gym, and others may thrive on the crowd. And so it's just kind of everything that we experience, we need to work on and use it as skills to get better, so that we learn to focus on just us and our team, no matter what environment we're playing in.
What's the keys to success for this weekend? You're playing the number 3 team in the nation on Saturday. You got Colorado Northwestern on Kids Day. As you say, it's going to be a loud environment. What's the keys to success to get things done this weekend?
Definitely handling the environment on Friday. And I'm excited for it. I think the girls are really excited for it. And I think the kids really enjoy the experience of being at a college game. And Saturday against number 3 in the nation, Eastern Arizona, they're a really good team. And so we're really working on focusing on being in the moment and being in the present, not focusing on the scoreboard at all. I really try to get my kids, and I know it's hard because that's something they've been taught their whole lives, but we don't look at the scoreboard. We don't even analyze the scoreboard till the last 5 minutes. What we look at is whether we're doing the things that we're working on to improve, because ultimately the goal is March. Ultimately, we're gonna win games, lose games along the way. We can't get too high, can't get too low. Got to understand that that's part of the process, the ups and downs. But all of it's preparing us for those moments in March. And I love it when teams go into March with a 17-11 record or whatever it is, and then they end up winning tournaments. I think that's great. You go into the tournament and you're 28-2, but lose in the first round. It's all about, in my opinion, scheduling tough games so that you can be prepared for those moments.
And that's always one of the big factors that a lot of football teams, are kind of getting the backlash out of, because you look at the SEC and now they're playing Eastern Illinois this weekend, or, they get those games and you're just like, oh, we should just walk through this, and it doesn't feel like they're playing those, big opponents and stuff. So kind of it's the same way for basketball. One, you guys also have home field, or home court, not home field, but home court advantage here, because I think it was last year you guys didn't play home for it was a while, and so now you guys are bringing that tournament in. That way you guys can have that home court feel. Is that what does home court do for you in your program?
I think getting home games is tough. It's tough. We're had 5 games on the road so far, and this is our first home home game, but it is tough, but it's important to be able to learn to play home and away. Like it is, but getting teams here and having to return games and things like that, that's just part of the college deal. And so when you're scheduling, like I think it's important. I was talking to one of my buddies who's I actually learned a lot under him. He's a mentor for me for sure, and he's been coaching for a lot of years, but I was just talking to him about scheduling the other day and how it's important to have a balance between scheduling tough. You don't want too much to the point where you don't have that momentum of winning or that confidence of winning, but at the same time you don't want to just schedule games where you're just winning by 50 the entire time, because then once you get into conference and tougher games, then you don't know how to handle that, and you want to have learned and adjusted in those things before you hit conference, because if you just start learning that in conference, then it's going to take you a long time to come out of that. So it's important to have that balance between home games and away games, different environments, playing in front of your fans, playing in front of somebody else's fans. Like it is, I would love to have all home games, but it's just not going to happen.
No, unfortunately. But okay, so we talked a little bit about preseason and offseason a little bit earlier on, but preseason games, what do those games really, or what have you learned from those preseason games to the games you guys have played now? I mean, you're 3-2 right now. You're in the positive, in the win category. You want to keep that going. But what are some of those things that you kind of learned in the preseason that's helped you guys now?
A lot of stuff we're definitely learning. So we did play Casper last week. We had a team drop out of the tournament, and so rather than not having a game, the coach and I decided, well, let's just play each other. It's early enough in the season, to see a conference opponent, and so we decided to play each other. But I think we learned a lot more in that game than any of our other games right now, because we learned what the conference level looks like. And I tell my team every year, preseason intensity is here, and then conference intensity goes up, and then tournament time the intensity goes even higher. And so understanding the levels that we have to get to along the way, because it is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's a long season. We learn along the way. A lot of stuff that we're learning as a coaching staff is, who can start games and who can't. Who can start the third quarter and who can't. Like, we're learning things like that on understanding who brings it all the time and who coasts and who, like, we're learning things like that so that we can understand, again, the level of intensity as the season goes on, and understanding how to get different shots for different players and things like that. And so that's team stuff that we're learning. But I think most importantly, we're learning on who to count on when.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, I mean, we've talked a little bit about the matchup for Colorado Northwestern, but the one thing is obviously the kids are going to play a big part into that game. But for you guys to get the win on Friday, tomorrow, what do you guys need to really kind of focus on? Is it maybe limiting turnovers, maybe limiting, the trips to the free throw line for the other team? What are those kind of things looking for you?
Actually, you bring that up. That is something that we're working on as a team. Is we got to get to the free throw line more, and that's a skill. Getting to the free throw line is a skill. Understanding, and your bigger players understanding when you need a bucket. So understanding that they got to get inside. Maybe be patient inside, playing off of 2 feet and getting a bucket and getting to the free throw line. Those are momentum things. Three pointers and ones are big momentums. Taking charges defensively, we've worked on that. We've only taken 1 charge this year, and that was in a scrimmage. Wow. And so we've got to start being able to step up and have the the toughness to take charges. We're in great position a lot of times when we rotate. We just don't have that extra edge of taking that. And so that's, again, things that we got to learn along the way. But against Colorado Northwestern, they're a good team. They're fast. They can get to the rim. They get a lot of paint touches, and so we've got to limit their paint touches defensively. A lot of our focus definitely has been defense in the last 5 games. Like, we're definitely focusing more on defense. Offense is something that will continue to come as the girls play with each other a little bit more and understand each other's strengths and weaknesses. But defense is something we've really been focusing on with our girls. So we want to limit their 3-point attempts. We don't want to give them any catch and shoot threes, but also keep them out of the paint.
So then we move to Saturday's game. Obviously, Eastern Arizona, the number 3 team in the nation here in JUCO, but you look at this team and, obviously the girls, they want to make sure that their mindsets are in the right place. What is that conversation like to making sure that, hey, they're the number 3 team in here, but we can just go pull one of the biggest upsets in program history here. So, how do you keep them in that same mindset?
We talk a lot about it doesn't matter who our opponent is. As long as we do what we do, we're going to be successful. And so learning, and we need a lot of reps on what we do. And that's the thing is coming. We got a lot of freshmen out there on the floor who have, they've played high school basketball, which is great, but they've The college level is different, and understanding that every person on the floor is a threat to score. Every person on the floor is a threat defensively. Understanding that it's just a whole nother level. When at high school you may have 2 or 3 at best that are a threat. And so understanding that we got to be able to, we have to match up. Our off-ball defense is not where you rest. And so that's a huge thing that we've been working on in practice is off-ball defense. Is, we have a lot of great on-ball defenders, but the second we get off-ball, we get out of position or we stare at the ball, we're late on a closeout, which then, offense takes advantage of that at the college level. And so we've been working a lot on that, but understanding that it doesn't matter who our opponent is at this time. We're going to play great teams along the way, but we have to focus on what we do and start doing what we do really well.
Awesome, Coach. Well, I appreciate your time and joining us here on our first edition of Coach's Corner. And we've got more coming along all basketball season long. And once again, here for our first edition of the Women's Basketball Edition. Once again, a big thank you to Coach Liz Lewis for joining me. This is Chase Horsley signing off here for Coach's Corner.